All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Apologies on the slight delay. Welcome to one new session of Wacom Webinars. Today, we have a very special guest, our friend Alex Solis. We're going to be talking about finding inspiration in the absurd and watching him work on one of his pieces today, live. Alex is an illustrator, a 3D sculptor, and bboy. I'm your host, Elizabeth Garcia. I manage social media for Wacom. This will be a 1-hour session. Please use your Q&A function to ask your questions to Alex, and I'll be filling them as he works. Please also use the chat to let us know where you're from, to interact with each other, and ask any questions you may have to our moderators, Peter and Tom. Please follow Alex on his social media. His website is artworks.com and his Instagram is alexmdc. He's very active on social media, so please go ahead and check him out. And for all attendees and friends of Alex, please check out the discounts that Wacom has prepared for you at the e-store. Using the WacomAlex code, you can have $50 off of the Wacom One, $50 off the MobileStudio Pro, which is Alex's favorite Wacom tool, valid through May 21st. All right, Alex, take it away. Thank you so much, guys. We have Alex Solis live.
Hey guys, so I started kind of brainstorming before I started this class or webinar. And so as I'm going through anything, please ask any questions and I'll try to answer whatever I can. So here's a quick sketch of what I'll be working on, and I'll be posting it online afterwards. It's be a simple concept, but I feel like when you're creating something, the concept's the main, pretty much like you need to focus. If you have a good concept, even when you have the art is not amazing, it always works out. So yeah, and I'll be posting all the codes and everything as well once I post this art, and Elizabeth will also be,
yes.
Oh, there you go, she shared it, so.
Yeah, his code is WacomAlex, and we'll be sharing this also via email to everyone who has subscribed to this webinar.
All right, and just making sure, is my screen being shared right now?
We don't see your working screen yet, but we see your face. Please share your screen so that we can see your workspace.
Gotcha. So I'll be working today in Photoshop, and as you guys can see, I'm working on Cintiq. Usually I work on the MobileStudio Pro when I'm not working on my desk, but the Cintiq's probably one of my favorites just because I have a bigger space to work with. And yeah, I'll just jump right into it. So whenever I start, I'm sorry, let me make sure I can see all the chat as well. Let me see it. Oh, there we go. All right. Can you see it now, Elizabeth? Yes, my screen?
Yes, we see your screen.
Okay.
And we see both of your.
Sounds good. So for this one, I'm gonna do a quick 3-panel illustration that I'll be posting after this is done. And whenever I start something, I don't get to the details right away. This one I'm drawing an apple, so I just want to get like the main shapes down real quick first. I'm gonna add some volume, so I'm putting some guidelines for myself here. So everything's just very quick when I start sketching out first, just to make sure I get the right look. And then I usually use Photoshop just because it feels more traditional to like sketching on a sketchbook. If I know a lot of people ask me why not use Illustrator, but I do use Illustrator only for when I really need to be really clean, like for example, a logo or something that's more, that needs to be blown up really, really big. All right, so the first panel, we're gonna do a little apple where he's getting the main character down. for some reason, this apple doesn't have any arms.
Hey, Alex, how long did you work on your concept sketch last night?
So for the concepts, I didn't want to start doing concepts here with you guys just because like concepts could take from like 2 minutes to like days. So for this one, my initial one was just like, I need to do something simple that you guys could follow along. And I think this was probably a few hours of me just going back and forth thinking of different ideas. And I really wanted to push something that had to do with dancing. And so I came up with this little guy right here. So the first panel, he's gonna be really upset because this little apple can't dance.
So Alex, you've used, you say both Illustrator and Photoshop. Robin Hood wants to know if you tried Clip Studio Paint yet as a painting tool or drawing tool.
Have I tried which one?
Clip Studio Paint.
I haven't tried that. I don't think I really even heard of that one. Is that through like iPad?
No, it's not through iPad.
No, I haven't tried it.
Really good. We'll
look into it a little more.
Contact with Clip Studio Paint.
I feel like I always just worked in Photoshop, that I haven't really transitioned to other programs. This one just feels so, I don't know, like I don't even need like special brushes for this. I'm only using the regular 19 pixel hard brushes and then focusing a lot on the pen pressure. So like with Wacom products, I see if I'm pressing harder, like the line goes in. So right now we have this little apple guy. And right now I don't really want to focus on like anything else other than getting the main shapes down right away. We got a little cardboard on the floor. Then we have a little worm character. So right now, like really quick, when I first start my sketches and everything's done really, really fast. So if I don't like something, I don't spend too much time like focusing on the face. Or we have I don't know, see like the hats, I don't like it. Nope.
Hey, Alex, are you self-taught or do you have any formal education?
I went to school for graphic design. Initially, I was more of a traditional painter and I focused a lot on traditional work. And for some reason, after going to school for traditional painting, I felt like I was never gonna make a living doing art, just because a lot of my ideas were kind of silly and it just didn't feel like I would be able to make a living from it. So instead I focused on trying to get a graphic design degree, which I mean, to this day, I use a lot with my packaging, a lot of my promotion. And then for 3D and a lot of the stuff as I'm doing it, you learn a lot. I feel like you learn more on your own than like taking a class is like you learn the basics, but in order to like take it to the next level, I feel like you really, really need to like work on a lot of your own projects and just whenever you have time, mess around with it as much as you can. Okay, so for this one, I feel like I got like the main shapes down, right, of the apple here. Just erasing, it's kind of like my guide.
And how big is your canvas usually? Dorina wants to know.
And usually for my canvases, I try to work really, really big, like 20 by 20 inches. For this one, I did only 10 by 10 because I plan on adding a little animation, and you don't really need like huge files. I'm not like printing it or anything, like, but I try to work as big as possible, is because when you zoom in, like if you guys see this line right here, it doesn't look the cleanest, but when you're seeing it from a far away, it looks really, really clean. So I think it's important to like work really big, just because it just makes everything look cleaner. You're able to like focus a lot more on specific details once we get to that part. I don't like this thing here, so I feel like I need some music playing well.
Hey, Alex, do you set up your hotkeys on your Wacom pen? Christopher Diego is asking us.
I actually have this little remote here. I don't have it set up today, but I have a lot of like the space tool. I use the space tool to move my canvas around, or Control C. Like I have it all set up here, but my battery's I didn't charge it. But people should really set up like shortcuts. It makes everything go faster. But honestly, if you're used to like work, like right now I'm working on this keyboard that's right next to it, so it's very easy to like space. I already know where space is. That's probably the main ones I use: space, Control C to undo stuff that I don't like. All right, I feel like his eyes are too big, so right now it's like the time to like move stuff around. I want him kind of look very cute, but like I want you guys to feel the emotion as well. So he'll be like really, really sad. And right now he's kind of looking sideways. So this is the point where you're doing sketches, you can edit those things that he's like, oh, this guy's good, he's dancing. I feel like the angle's a little off, so maybe a little more space here so we can see the little radio. Have a little boombox in the background here.
So Alex, I know you told us a little bit about the software you used, and Imesh wants to know, because they mostly use Procreate, they want to know if you have used Procreate and how do you think it compares to Photoshop, if you have used it.
Yeah, I actually only tested it a few times here and there. And honestly, I think it is pretty close to Photoshop. I just don't really use iPad because Wacom's like so much better. And I think it's pretty close, especially because you have the access to all the brushes and stuff. But for me, I feel like Photoshop has so much more, is because I have to save out stuff. I'll show you guys some of the animation I'll be doing with this, and I'm just a little more familiar with Photoshop, so I wouldn't be able to like give too much of tips or opinion on with Procreate. All right, I think we kind of have this. Give a little. I'm not so happy with this.
So Alex, going over your Instagram feed, you know, we see that you draw a lot of famous characters, and somebody in the audience, an anonymous attendee, wants to know, do you need to pay some sort of copyright when you draw these famous characters?
I mean, if you're at home just drawing stuff, like usually I don't really just draw like fan art. I try to focus a lot on parodies, and so for example, adding a different twist and idea to an existing concept. And there's a very fine line with parody, so it's like I wouldn't suggest just doing famous characters and mass producing something that you got to sell in Target or a book or anything. But just posting stuff, if you're creating famous characters, is totally fine. It's considered fan art. When you are creating parodies, I feel like, again, it's kind of like Saturday Night Live, like when they're kind of making jokes of like famous things. Just so I feel like with pop culture, it kind of connects with people on something they're already familiar with. But again, like I would only get like a license fee if I'm working directly with the IP. For example, like I've done some stuff with like Hello Kitty, and I'm working with them directly for the products, and that has no like my icons on mask has like 2 IPs, and it's a parody, it's a different concept. Hope that kind of explains it. But if you want more information about like parodies, there's so much information. You can just Google it, and it's just so much to like learn about that. So once we have a sketch going, I'm adding lines just so I could get more depth into my illustration. We have the first one going. I'm gonna lower the opacity because I want to work on the next panel. He looks at the little worm, he's excited. The next panel, the apple's gonna be a little more upset because he can't dance. So for now, I'm just kind of like, doesn't even have to be exact again. It's just putting the idea down in my concept. All right, so this worm's gonna look up. I'm changing them up. Once I start doing like the panels for Instagram, since we want to keep everything similar, I won't be redrawing this radio like 10 times. It'll just be one, and I'll pretty much copy and paste.
Linda Feeney is asking, why not just copy the layer and edit?
I won't be doing that, but for now, right now, I'm just getting the sketch down. I just want to, my sketch, I really use more for guidelines for when I'm kind of changing stuff around. So for now, like I wouldn't copy the other layer because the worm's gonna have a whole different action. I want to change this. So for now, it takes like 5 seconds just to get my second panel. So this won't be my second one. And then my last one will be, back to this guy right here.
So Alex, Crystal says that it seems like your hand would create some friction when you're working on, that monitor. Do you sometimes use a glove?
I know a lot of people use gloves. I haven't really worked on one with the glove. For me, I feel like it's all about how the artist or whoever's drawing feels when you're working on it. I know a lot of people suggest using gloves, but for me, there's really no friction. I try to go like, I'm not like pressing really hard. So I can still like move around have a good flow with everything. So let me see. I tried using a glove too, and I felt like it was like way too slippery for me. But again, it's all really depending on the artist. Like some artists feel more comfortable when it's more fluid, some don't. So.
So your little apple is a dancer, and you're also a dancer. And Gabe Medina wants to know, how long have you bboyed? Am I pronouncing it right?
Yep.
And what's your favorite type, your favorite personal combo?
Well, I've been dancing probably about 20 years now, and I slowed down a lot with competitions, but the last competition I did was freestyle session. It's pretty known for anyone that b-boys. It's one of the biggest competitions. It was just last year, and I guess for me personally, I like freezes and flow. But yep, been dancing 20 years. I still practice a lot, and my crew, motion disorders, they're I think some of the guys are on here actually. But there's still a lot of guys still dancing, and And I practice as much as I can, but I haven't been able to compete as much anymore. Art kind of took over my life a lot more recently. All right, so we have my 3 sketches. I'm happy with them. The little apple's looking at the worm. He's like, oh man, I wish I could do that. The little one's like, what's going on here? And then at the end, we're gonna animate it. He's gonna be doing a wave with his arm.
Alex, can you advise on a brand of laptop that's best for illustration work? Do you have a favorite or?
A laptop?
Yeah, Maggie wants to know if you
Oh.
have a recommendation of a laptop.
Okay, well, right now I'm actually using the Wacom Studio, and it works almost like a laptop and a tablet. And the Studio Pro is the one I use the most when I'm not sitting here in front of this giant setup. And for me, it's the most fluid and it works the best. But I don't know, I don't even have a laptop, so I don't know which one I would recommend for drawing.
That's okay, Alex, thank you.
All right, once I have a sketch done, then I make everything blue just because it's easier on me on the eyes when I'm creating. I'm using it kind of like a guideline. So as you guys can see, I made it blue and I lowered the opacity down. Then that's when you can like zoom in and start actually working closely on. I create a new layer here. And then we start creating here. Let's see. And then command minus or plus is usually one I use for.
So Alex, what's your day like? Do you draw 24/7? Zach Richie wants to know.
I try to draw as much as possible, but I do have 3 kids, so I take a lot of breaks and go outside, play stuff. But I feel like I try to set a schedule where I wake up around 8, then I start working around 10. 10 to 5 is for sure I'll be working and illustrating or working on different projects or my own. And then I try to I feel like it's good to take breaks and move away from what you're working, because I'll come back and be like, oh man, this looks like I can see what I'm doing wrong. When if you're focusing on something the whole time, I feel like it's harder to see what's going on, and you kind of don't. It's good to take breaks here and there and come back to your work. So I have some shortcuts set up. Like right now I'm selecting all, just a quick fillers. Below eyelashes, just to make them even more cute. I feel like I can match this one. So what I'm doing is just grabbing this one, pretty much copy pasting. I don't know if,
Alex, are there any sites that you reference to develop concepts to help you brainstorm? Some of our followers or our viewers are asking, where do you get your ideas? Are there any resources online that you recommend?
I think for concepts, when I started, or like even for this concept, I just sat outside for a while and just like, I try to like write down everything I have. So I had a bunch of ideas and a lot of them are not as good. So let me see if I can find some. Like, I was thinking a little microwave waving chip with a chip tooth. I don't know. And I follow a lot of artists online as well. Like I feel like now we have so much content out there that's very easy to get inspired and see what others are doing. And it's kind of like when you're in a conversation and you have people say a joke and you add to it. I feel like that's how I come up with concepts, like thinking of a simple joke and then kind of building on it. I don't know if that helps, but just one thing that really helps me again is just like writing down as much ideas as I can, whatever. No idea is like dumb enough. I mean, I don't share everything, but here and there I'll have something that's like, oh wow. So with this, I'm working a lot with just trying to be fluid with the line work.
For clean strokes, Alex, does it just come with practice, or do you have any advice? Claudia Federico is asking us.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just practice. Like the more you practice, like I draw on so many leaves by now that I feel comfortable with, especially with this bigger screen. That's why I like it, because I have more room to like do giant strokes. Like my work, I feel like gets a little faster and cleaner. Like as you guys see, like once you zoom out, the work will be like a lot cleaner. But I think it's just a lot of practice. So that's why I would suggest, like, and recommend to draw as much as possible. To cartoons.
Our battle wants to know who are some of your artist inspirations out there.
I really like James Jean. I guess different artists for like different things. Like Cause has been doing amazing stuff with sculptures and pretty much building a business from his work. Let me see who else. We have like Alex Pardee, amazing artist. I think he does a lot of Twitch projects like this. There's so many artists out there I follow that I feel like just following artists and content that, for example, if you're creating art, like follow people that are doing something similar to you, and obviously don't copy everything they're doing, but you could always see like what someone's already doing in order to kind of do it in your own way. So once I have the main shape of this apple, I'll be able to like copy and paste that shape for the other ones and not worry about doing all the steps. A smoothing feature?
A smoothing tool, yeah.
I'm not sure what a smoothing feature is. Can you elaborate on that question?
Javier, can you elaborate what you mean by smoothing tool?
I mean, there's a smoothing tool when I'm working on 3D, but I don't really have a smoothing.
So Miguel wants to know if you are currently working only on personal projects, or do you also work on company commission projects? He's interested in how an independent artist goes about when it comes to financial stability.
So I think, yeah, that was a major thing when I started working. Like initially I try to focus on my own projects, because I feel like as an artist, you can't always rely on someone else or wait to get a project unless you already have a consistent flow of clients and projects. But what I do is I try to focus on my own projects. Honestly, it's the most fun to do. And I feel like for every artist, it's the most fun to work on your personal projects. But I do, I get a lot of my clients from personal projects. Like once I create and post something that I like, I feel like, or you could call out different brands. Like one of the clients I started working with started as one of my personal drawings. I was kind of just making a fun drawing of that rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine, and he saw it, and I feel like it just fit with what he wanted to do with his online presence, and then it just went from there. And then from there, I always try to make sure I'm working on my own projects, even though I have other clients. Like right now, I'm doing a lot of Hilton murals, working with Hello Kitty, doing stuff for Tekashi 6ix9ine, doing a project for One Piece, the animation. But again, it's most of those projects I got because of my personal work. So I think that's the most important thing as a artist, to always like post your personal work and do your own projects. That way you don't have like limits and guidelines, and it doesn't limit your skill. And it's the best way to show what you can do to people.
Thank you, Alex. Anthony wants to know, in today's global economy or global environment where artists can be so connected to audience and industries despite distance, do you feel it's still necessary to be attached to a major city hub to be successful?
Oh, no, definitely not. Like, I lived in Chicago for a while, and I moved to the middle of nowhere. Right now I live in a very secluded area where I feel like right now I'm able to focus more on my work. And nowadays with your phone and internet, like you really don't. Like you have the same presence as anyone that lives in, for example, LA or anywhere else, as there, because everything goes online, right? Like you can see everything on social media. If I was to post from California or here, it's the same thing. So I feel like nowadays you can literally live wherever as long as you have internet and social media. Is pretty much you could connect with anything and anywhere.
Do you have an agent, or do you work directly with these different companies, Alex?
I just work directly with everyone. My wife works a lot with me. So she'll handle a lot of the business side of stuff, or whenever I can, I try to handle it myself. Just because, I don't know, I feel like you eliminate working with having to tell someone a thing and then they have to tell the other person of the client. I feel like some artists might need like a client just because it's easier for them to focus 100% on the work. But for me personally, I feel like it's a lot easier working directly with the clients and to see what they want, and I could tell them exactly what I can do or can't do. Like if someone wants something to jump out of the screen or something, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I could let them know right away that might not be something I could do, or if we need to hire someone else. So I just feel like it gets stuff moving faster and quicker once you're doing stuff on your own. All right, so we got this little apple going here. I feel like the face is a little too big, so I could literally just grab it, shrink it up a little bit. Now that I see like the whole thing. And maybe he shouldn't be sad at first. So I always change concepts as I'm going. He's kind of excited to see him, like, whoa.
We have a question from Deborah. Although you're not doing any sculpting right now, she's curious to find out what 3D sculpting programs you use and how do you get into 3D sculpting?
For 3D sculpting, I actually started, since I was a traditional artist more before I got into a lot of digital stuff. I just literally sculpted with clay. And then the program I found was the closest to traditional sculpting is ZBrush. You pretty much start with a ball of clay, and for that one, I kind of just learned on my own. It took a few months, and it's a pretty intense learning curve, but I feel like it really helps with knowing my volume of like even my 2D work. And yep, ZBrush. There's also a program called Blender. If it's a free 3D sculpting program, if anyone's interested in that. All right, for the radio, I want to make sure I could use it in other parts. So I'm gonna just build it up here. Very simple.
So you're always sharing your work on social media. Maggie wants to know if you have any tips to get noticed on social media, Instagram, above all, any tips to get new followers?
I mean, when I started, I wasn't like super focused on like, I need to get followers right away. I feel like, and followers will come if you're putting out like your best work. Like, if you're just posting selfies and stuff, then people might not follow you. But if you're posting art, like I feel like slowly stuff starts getting shared. And like I mentioned before, like working on personal projects really helped me with getting a following, just because I feel like you're not kind of telling someone, like I hate when someone's like, oh, go follow this person, go follow this person. And I feel like you'll find an audience for your passion if you're doing art and you're constantly just sharing content and posting stuff that it will show in the end. You don't have to really push a lot for you. It's like a following where I feel like that will come a little more organic once you start sharing your work.
So in your very personal opinion, Alex, Mark Mansour wants to know, what is the most important quality to be a good illustrator?
I think to be a good illustrator and an artist, it should be like coming up with concepts and ideas that make you stand out and kind of putting yourself into your art. So that's what, like, you don't want to just start posting a bunch of like, I guess like Mickey Mouse drawings. If it'll be a little harder to like get people to like follow you, I guess. And if it's not something original, like I feel like if you're posting your concepts or stuff that relates to you in your life, and as an artist, I feel like you should be able to express yourself through your art. Like for example, this little apple is not, I mean, I dance, so I feel like it's just easier to connect with people that if it's the art kind of fits you and you're, I don't know if that makes sense. I want the speakers a little smaller here.
So Alex, in your store, in your website, we can see that you work with many different things. You know, you make t-shirts, designs, mural, 3D figures. Aaron wants to know, are there any dream projects that you'd like to do, or programs or techniques that you're looking to learn next? Any new medium?
Yeah, actually, I've been working with a good friend of mine. His name's Naolito. And I've been doing a lot of trying to learn 3D animation, just because, I mean, I feel like it's one thing to see your art, but once it comes to life, it's a whole different feeling. So hopefully in the next few months, I'll be learning 3D animation. And again, like learning new tools and stuff, I see it as like a tool for your work and to like further push out your concepts. There we got a little radio going on here. Actually, put that in a different layer because I want to make sure I can move it around. We'll be back here, we'll color it. All right, now that I have a clean line work for this one, I'll do some quick coloring on it. I don't know if timing wise I'll be able to finish everything for you guys today, but I'll be posting this afterwards as well.
Thank you, Alex. You're getting a lot of love on the Q&A. People are really happy to see you hand drawing your circles instead of the ellipse tool.
I feel like circles are the hardest thing to draw. Go, let's see. Well, clean circles with one stroke.
What are the settings on the brush that you're using? Alex would like to find out.
For today, I'm really just using the basic, literally no extra brushes. I'm using the hard round pressure size. So I focus a lot on pressure, and Wacom's the tablet really helps with that one. And really just like fluid strokes, and it's harder to like, if you're going like that, to like get a cleaner line than if you were like. So right now I'm just like freestyling some colors. I mean, we know apple's red. I'll show you guys how I do some of my shading quick as well. We start changing the background here. Just a quick overlay. And the way I pick a lot of my background colors, I try to go like, all right, red, what's the good? We want it, I don't know. When it really pops, so maybe we'll do like a.
We have a few beginners here in our audience. I want to know if you have any recommendation for our Wacom models for beginners. And I have one, but they're asking you, so.
I think if you can answer that one, just because like I've been working so long on the Cintiq and the Studio Pro that I'm not super familiar with the latest models of like.
Well, absolutely. For those who are listening, we do recommend the Intuos line if you want to start drawing on a tablet. But if you're ready to draw on screen for beginners, we do recommend the Wacom One. So those are your safest choices. Intuos are legendary line, the best tablet out there, or the new Wacom One. You can head to wacom.com to find out more.
Oh yeah, and I actually messed with the Wacom One. It's kind of a similar setup where it's like a different screen and you're drawing directly on the screen if anyone's wondering about that.
Yeah, Wacom One feels a lot like a Cintiq.
Okay, so we got this little guy going, maybe
So Alex, do you have someone watching is having trouble getting their pressure sensitivity to work? Do you have a recommendation on how to fix that pressure sensitivity?
Usually in Photoshop, if you're working in Photoshop, you have this little tool here. It should be automatic once you're putting stuff, but you could always adjust the pressure in the settings of your Wacom tablet. But for me, once I installed it, it usually is just like already there, and you can activate, or like depending on the setting as well. Like if you guys, I don't know if you can see here, like this brush at the end, it only has that, so there's really no pressure. So I try to use the brush that has like the thinner edges. That way you can use a lot more pressure with it. And see if you could activate the pressure or not right here. Just want a simple radio, maybe a little darker.
We have some freelancers watching, and Kenneth is saying, I personally have to use an aggressive time management system to balance between production, maintaining client work, and learning new things. How do you manage it? Do you have some sort of system to get everything done?
Well, if I'm working with a client, I have to kind of pause on my personal work. But I do try to like right now, this past week, I've been really busy working with the client, and just I even take like half hour if I'm coming up with ideas, just doodle them. Like it only takes like 5 minutes to like doodle down ideas so you won't forget them later on. But I mean, really, once you start getting so busy with client work, it's a little harder. So I would suggest like really only take what you feel comfortable with, I guess. Like right now I got so many requests for other art, and I try to like make sure I always have time for my own art. And right, so we have this, the purple's a little weird. We'll go with yeah, I guess we could just keep it here with that. Okay, so I have my first panel. We're gonna get some shading in there. And I create everything in layers. So like my color layers right under my line art. And then for the next one, I'm just doing a simple light source. So my light source, the sun's gonna be here. So I want all the shadows to be from this area. So again, it's almost like drawing with the shadow. I want like half of its face to be shadow here. This is coming here, you can kind of see some here. And for now, I mean, you could change the color on it just so you know what's going on. Like I'm gonna just make it red or no.
So we're big fans of your Icons Unmasked series. Really funny.
Thank you.
And Andrea Rosar wants to know if you had to ask for copyrights to publish Icons Unmasked, since she's asking because since they're all based on real characters.
Yeah, and that one, it was more self-published, so that one's not like a mass-produced thing. That's why it's more like focus on parody. So even if you try, like you wouldn't be able to like get a license to distribute that, for example, like a big store or anything, just because every drawing has multiple IPs. And again, I'm not like, I wouldn't recommend doing 100% pop culture just because it's a very thin line when it comes to if you want to create product. Like, but a lot of my Icons Unmasked, they're actually not products, they're just posts I do for fun. So, I mean, again, I wouldn't recommend 100% doing distribution of pop culture or parodies. Right, so I have the shadow here. I wanted like maybe like a dark. I mess with the opacity here. We add some highlights as well. All right, as far as timing, I don't know, I'll probably go a little longer, but I might not be able to finish this whole thing today live.
Well, I'm gonna do check-in with the audience. How do you guys feel? We are watching Alex. It's not done yet, but we've been with him for about an hour. I'm enjoying, the process of watching him. Just let us know how you feel. But Alex, if you're free, don't feel rushed. We're here to watch you.
Yeah, and once I start doing some shadows, if I feel like it's too dull, then you can start adding a lot more stuff. Like, for example, here I'll start one a little light coming in from there, so we could do a lot of overlays on top of your work, like some like shadows coming in from here. So I'm just doing a quick overlay, and I just add a little tiny more to
Alex, go, go, go. They want to see you finish it.
I mean, this one I feel like is a kind of finish.
Yeah.
The first panel will be finished, but then I'll post the final work once it's done as well. So we got the little guy. He's like, wow, this is amazing. I want to learn how to dance, but he's sad. He doesn't have arms. So the worms, you say, what's going on? Hooks him up. Then usually when I share, it'll be like, you can see a lot of like smaller. So it looks a lot cleaner. And sometimes I go in there and I'll add extra shadows. Like, again, it's like you're the artist, so you know when you're done and or how far you want to take something. Let's see, like right here. I feel like the first panel's done. So now once we have the second one, I feel like, okay, a lot of it's similar to it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy the whole thing. Then I'll break it down all the way back to just a line art. Okay, this one's fine, we'll keep that. Then I look back at my sketch right here. Okay, so what I see is the face changes, he's upset. And also the worm, we're gonna be changing him. And then you could also I can also see my previous frame right here, so I could kind of keep everything consistent, but I know, okay, I want him sad. Here we go for, back to my brush.
So you're obviously really, really fast and we're really impressed. How long did it take you to get this fast? How long have you been doing this?
I mean, I've been drawing pretty much all my life, but when I started when I was younger, I used to do graffiti, so I feel like I kind of started like pushing to get faster just because you don't. And also like when you're working faster, you kind of your lines start getting cleaner. I mean, I would say about, I don't know, 30 years I've been.
You don't want to disclose your age. That's what you don't want to tell us.
I mean, I'm 36 and I've been drawing all my life. I'm just trying to think like when did I for real start like getting serious? But I've been drawing literally since I could pick up a pencil, and here you go. And I mean, honestly, for now, I'm working a little faster than usual, but I don't know, like I enjoy working faster. It shouldn't be about speed, like focus on, everyone should have their own speed and you don't have to be all fast to be good, I guess. Let me see, right? So we got this guy, he's gonna be standing up now. And this one's like a real simple character. Once I'm working on something more complicated, then yes, it's a lot more time consuming. Oh, wait, I didn't have to. So sometimes I go back and forth. Like, I want the focus to be more on the apple here. He's and showing that he's impressed. So maybe we add some like little, like, wow, this is awesome. But on the next panel, we're gonna make it so now he's upset. Now he's like, hey, what's going on?
James is asking a very philosophical question that I like. Can someone teach themselves to be an artist, or do you think they have to be born one?
I think to be an artist is more about like how much you want to be an artist, right? You don't have to be born an artist as much as are you willing to spend endless hours working on something, and are you gonna enjoy it? So I feel like a lot of it's like passion. Like if you really enjoy something, then it doesn't you don't have to immediately be born and have great skill, but you should have the ambition to want to do it. Like because I was never like, I didn't start off being like good or clean or my lines were amazing or anything, but I used to do it so much that it slowly, as anything, you learn more as you go. So I feel like it's more about how much do you want to be good at being an artist. Hope that kind of answers that. Right, and I'm gonna be using the old color on this. This I could use.
We have someone in the audience who's 25 and is just getting started going to art school last year. Do you guys think it's a little too late, he says?
No, of course not. I feel like it's also not about like, you shouldn't wait on school like to tell you like, all right, this is what you're gonna learn. You should all, like how much time can you spend working on something? Like if you're going to art school, like, is that something that makes you, if it makes you happy, like, why not? It's never too late to be happy, right? All right, so now it was lucky that I drew my radio little, since it doesn't match. There we go. I have to adjust this one. Oh, whoop.
What inspired you to create the Unmasked series? Our Battle is asking us.
So for that one, it was, I always see like when I'm watching TV or anything, I see characters, I'm like, hey, that's kind of a ripoff of this character. Or I'd be like, hey, that reminds me of this character. And I started drawing one where I was just like, I was at work, I actually thought it was a dumb idea. And I showed my friend, I was like, hey, you think this is funny? Like it was like Batman unmasked and it was bad inside of it. And then I think I did Grumpy Cat and like Garfield. I was like, hey, it's kind of like similar characters. So I started seeing a lot of similarities with like different pop culture characters. And I don't know, I thought it just kind of started building up where I was like, I'm gonna do a few of these guys. And then all of a sudden it became a thing where I did about like 200 of them now. Okay, let's see now. Adjusting the shadows here. So this one's not so clean, so I'll just clean that off as I go.
Alex, have you used the Norris digital pencil? That
Uh,
I was asking.
no, I'm not familiar with that one.
The Norris digital pencil, it's just, it looks and feels like a actual pencil, but it's digital.
Oh, I seen it, but I haven't used it.
All right.
I wouldn't have too much input on that. All right, let's see, go back to this. So I'm just going back and forth with my other ones just to like grab the colors I used.
Alex, when you export, what's the best way to export to reach the best quality? Felipe wants to know.
Yeah, I'll do a quick one of this one. So once I have an illustration that I'm happy with, I pretty much copy and create a new one. And right now I have it as like 3,000 pixels by 300 DPI. So that's why I always work bigger. Because now when I'm posting, usually it's like around 800, but I do like 1,200. Wait, oh wait, here I'll start it off by. So I copied my whole layer. If I want to like fix it or something, maybe it's like too much background. I crop it a little bit here. And then this is where I start sizing everything in Photoshop. Like, all right, I just want to post it. I'll get like a 1,200. And that's it. I have my JPEG, and then usually I save for web. Let's take one. Let's see. Yeah, and usually I save us a JPEG in like full quality just because I already sized it down. And so pre-sizing everything on your computer, then instead of trying to like grab an image and sizing it on your phone is a lot easier this way. Hope that helps. Let me see. And now I don't like this extra one, so there's always like, I could always remove stuff. Go. And I'll probably go like 15 more minutes if that's okay. And then.
Yeah, no, we're good. Everybody is happy to continue watching you finish the piece.
All right, let's see what happened here. I think my computer's acting a little slow again. What's going on?
Somebody is watching us says that when she's drawing or when they're drawing their own characters, they somehow always end up copying references. Do you have any tips to be able to create your own characters even when using references?
So a thing I did when I started kind of like developing faces and characters is what you do is like just practice a lot, try to do like different eyes, try to do eyes your own way, I feel like the more and more you practice and draw, like for example, if I was drawing this apple, I've drawn so many, I guess, apples and like faces this way that I automatically kind of go towards the direction that I feel comfortable with. So if you're using something as a reference, like don't just copy everything directly, but if you already practice enough where you're using like your own faces and expressions, then I feel like it's a lot easier to apply that into existing work. So the reference you're only using for example, if I'm looking at an apple for a reference, I already know there's a leaf, I know that it's red. So try to just grab like the main things from the reference and not use literally everything you're seeing. Because then that's kind of just copying. So even when I'm drawing like pop culture characters, like obviously I don't know how to draw every single pop culture character, but I try to also add my style, and it just makes it stand out more when you're seeing even something that you're already familiar with and seeing it in a different style. For me, it stands out more. Okay.
Our battle wants to know, Alex, if you have any methods that you typically use for best color matching between desktop or iPhone display.
I don't. Usually it's like I try to just go back and forth. Like I'll save out a piece and then look at it on my phone. If it's really off, then I'll just go back to my working area and adjust it that way. But I do try to like keep my settings similar to my phone or whatever I'm posting with, just because like now it's a lot easier. What I see here is usually pretty close to what I'm getting on my phone. And that's just from me going back and forth, adjusting as I'm saving stuff out, like, okay, this works, this doesn't look right, or just going a lot of back and forth. But I feel like those things is like one thing that you go back and forth a lot when you start, but once you have it correct, is your settings are already there that you don't have to go back and forth too much. Right, here we go. So we have, he's like, hey, no, he's sad, he wishes he could dance. And I guess, and nothing's like final. Like you're the artist, you could always change stuff as you go. Like right now, I don't know, I'm not so happy with the, oh, maybe a green color. Usually when I'm done with like coloring as well, like I use this tool where it's like a color balance. And I feel like this brings it all together when you're kind of adjusting. Like right now I have it like blue, kind of adds a little tint of, okay, we want a little more green on it. Want it to really pop. Let's see. So it's just like a slight tint that brings everything together for me. Then I'm copying my last one here.
So we have a 15-year-old in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Nikos, and they're usually always drawing with pencil and paper. But in Photoshop, they're now making really good art with a mouse. They're wondering if they should buy, if they're ready to get a digitizer. Do you think they're ready? Do you think it matters that they're 15?
No, I mean, honestly, when I was 15 is probably around the age I started kind of slowly getting into digital stuff. But I do like, again, I do a lot of stuff on paper first, just because I feel most comfortable traditional. Yeah, drawing with a mouse, I wouldn't suggest. I think definitely if you could afford one and start messing with a tablet, it's a great way to start. And I feel like there's no age limit to when you should start. It's just like, if you could get started as soon as possible, there's no better time to do it than now, you know? Okay, I'm gonna copy a little radio.
So Alex, somebody wants to see your entire workspace, but you're working right now. Can you walk us through just letting us know what your workspace has? What tools you are actually employing?
Oh yeah.
Alex.
So right now I'm working off a Mac right here, and this is my main computer, and I'm using the Cintiq. So it also works as a double screen. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm working on a Cintiq with a MacBook. I mean, Mac.
And right now, Alex is using Photoshop.
Oh yeah, and I'm using Photoshop.
Is it really hard to turn an illustration into a sculpture? Cain Barber wants to know.
I feel like that's just like a whole different. It's almost like just learning 3D, and if it's not, I wouldn't like use like hard, but really depending on how good you are at 3D is. So for some people I've seen create amazing 3D sculptures in a day. So I wouldn't say hard, is how well do you know your way around 3D. That it could be very easy. And also depends on how simple a character is. Like this one, I feel like if you're good with 3D, you could get it done in like a few hours.
Alex, any tips on choosing colors and working with color contrasts between them?
Yeah, so for that, it's always like just going back and forth. Like for example, this one I started just with the basic colors. Where I'm like, all right, this is apple's red. So you kind of just go with what feels right. And then I started using, like, for example, I'm choosing my background color based on like, it's really what works. So I wouldn't really use, I mean, even red's cool. So it's really just about trying different colors and trying different stuff. I feel like there's no exact correct way of how you pick colors versus like trial and error. Like I'm like, all right, purple. No, it's just based on what you like. Like now I picked this one, I kind of do like red, so I'll stick with red for now.
Alex, have you thought working in the comic book industry, or do you own your own comic book?
I feel for me, I'm like more into like sculptures and stuff. I do like comic books, but not as much as like, I guess I enjoy creating sculptures or things like that. So for me personally, I'm not like, it's not something that I want to do. Just that's pretty much it. But I've done some like comic stuff. Like for a regular show, I did a comic strip for them. But for me personally, I enjoy more like animation and 3D sculpture. Again, it's not something that, it's just something that I personally like to do more. We got this little guy here. Yeah.
Alex, can you show us your tool window when you get a chance on your right side? Alex wants to see it.
Show what part?
He wants to see your tools window because he's wondering what your tools process is.
Oh, wait, what? I'm just using the brush right now. I don't know what tool window he's referring to. This right here?
We're not sure, Alex Sam, so please ask your question again because we don't know what to show you. We want to.
I mean, this is the brush I'm using is a hard round pressure size. Size of tools, that's pretty much the only, and I'm using the brush tool.
Awesome.
I'm not really switching back and forth right now. Like I guess I'll use the lasso tool to move stuff around, but right now for the most part, I'm just using the brush tool. This is the lasso tool, just to select stuff and get rid of it quickly. This like color. So again, the brush tool is to quickly select stuff. Eraser.
Guys, let us know in the chat if you would like to see Alex back for a 3D webinar, because I think a lot of you have been asking about it. Maybe we should bring him back.
Yeah, I feel like doing 3D is a whole different story, so I wouldn't be. I was trying to think if I should do this one in 3D, but we just wouldn't have enough time to go. Maybe I'll do the same one in 3D for a different webinar.
Well, that's it, Alex. It's a lot of yeses. I'm gonna have to talk to you again.
Well, I don't have time. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that'd be awesome. I could definitely, I think it'll be fun to do a 3D one as well, since it's pretty much like working on clay and resculpting everything. And do we still have a little time, Elizabeth? Or what do you
I'm in
think?
quarantine. I'm here all day. But do you have more time?
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to like slowly animate this one just so everyone could see how it works. So we got. So right now it kind of doesn't make as much sense if you don't see it animated. Let's see. I think I'll show you guys like a super quick sample of what I'm gonna be doing. Like right now I went to the timeline and I'm just gonna kind of sketch over what I'm gonna be doing with the, we wanted to slowly be moving. Another layer.
Earlier, when you were filling out your objects with color, was that in a separate layer?
Oh yeah, I try to keep everything in different layers just because once I'm finished with something, I might be like, oh, I don't like this color, or it's easier to change once you're in different layers. So for example, this one I have like, we have a few layers going on. We have the color layer here, shadow layer, a little more shadows, and the final.
Wow, very nice.
So for the animated part, I'm gonna be making them, I'll use the 3 quick ones. Test out if this works first. So it's like hard to see, but it's only 3 layers. I'll be, let's see. So I want them kind of waving. So that's what I'm gonna be. Let's see, one. My second layer here. Too fast, but so pretty much what I'm gonna do like 4 different drawings and play them on the timeline, and then they'll be animated once I finish. But hopefully you guys will see that on my Instagram later. And yep, that's pretty much it.
So nice. I can't wait to see it on your Instagram later. And guys, please go head over to Alex's Instagram and YouTube. He's also on Twitter sometimes. And check out his work. Alex, any closing thoughts, messages, comments you have to the audience before we wrap up?
I mean, I could go through like some of this last questions just to like wrap up. Like,
yeah, why don't you go over a few questions there? I got through a lot of them, but
yeah. This first one, Blender for the webinar. I'll probably stick with ZBrush just because I'm more familiar with ZBrush than Blender at the moment. But I think Blender is just the good thing about it is free. And it's a bit similar in some areas, but yeah, I'll probably stick with ZBrush. Let me see, exporting vector image to iPad. So I think you're getting blurs and pixels just because you're exporting a small image. You should be working as big as possible. Let's see, to iPad. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Let's see. Oh, I think that's pretty much it. If anyone else has any questions, if not, I think I can answer also some on the comments once I post this, but.
Yes, we will be sharing Alex's entire webinar on YouTube. We'll be sharing the link with him later. Mm-hmm. And head over to Alex's Instagram and keep him up at night with some questions. He's always there. I know. Chatting with him. Thank you so much, guys, for being here with us for over an hour. Thank you, Alex, for sticking with us as well. We're going to show you now the slide with the discount code so you can take advantage of it. Thank you so much. And see you next week. Thank you, Alex.